Hi, I'm Teja. I'm a developer relations engineer at Harness. In this video, we're going to learn about how you could perform SAST for your code repository, the static application security testing using Harness STO. Before we jump into the whole implementation, let me touch upon what SAST is. In a shift-left approach, SAST is probably the earliest thing that you want to do in your pipeline. So to put it very simple, it scans the code base for vulnerabilities without executing the code. It will go through the code base and checks whether there is any logic that aligns with CVEs or CWEs and points them out with severity. Some of these examples are like insecure cryptographic libraries, SQL injection, buffer overflow, occasionally XSS, and some memory leaks and many more. So this is what SAST in a very high level. So in Harness, the STO module brings you a wide range of scanners for performing the SAST. And also on top of this, the module comes with a set of built-in scanners, and here for SAST, if you just wanted to perform the scan irrespective of what tool to choose and their configurations, you can quickly set up the built-in scanner for SAST and perform the scan in just a few clicks. And we'll look at how to do in our demo. And if you don't find the scanner that you generally use, STO comes with a step called custom scan, where it allows you to use a huge list of scanners that are supported by Harness. And now, let's get into the implementation. So what you see on screen is an existing Harness pipeline with no stages. So let's quickly create one. Click on Add Stage, and you can create a build stage if you are using Harness CI. You can access all the STO steps in the build stage. Or you can also go ahead and create a security stage. Click on that and set the stage name, Security Test, and enable the clone code base. Next, let's configure the Git. If you're using Harness code repo, you can choose this or go ahead and select the third-party Git provider. In my case, this. And this brings up the option to select my Git provider connector, and click on the connector, and this brings up the option to choose your connector. In my case, this. In case you do not have a connector configured, you can quickly create one. Click on new connector from here, and this will bring up all the SCM modules that are supported by Harness. You can straight away create from here, and then you should be able to select your connector from here. Next, I'm going to say apply selected, and then the repository name. In my case, this. Let's go ahead, set up the stage. Next, let us quickly configure the infrastructure. I'm going to use my Kubernetes and select my Kubernetes cluster and then the namespace. Let me go forward for the execution. So this is where we're going to configure our SAST scanner. So I'm going to add a new step. Click on that and select new step, and this will bring up all the steps that are supported. You can go to the security test tab, and specifically if you get into SAST, you have all the tools that you can use to perform the SAST scanning for your code repository. You can also go ahead and select the built-in scanner, and from here, if you select SAST, it will just bring up the option where it uses Semgrep internally for performing the SAST scanning. You can click on Add Scanner, and this will add Semgrep there. Right at this point, you can quickly save this and run it, and it will work perfect. Let's also look into what this step includes. As you open this up, you should be able to see a name, description, and the next is scan mode, where it has orchestration and ingestion. The orchestration is where you configure the step to run the scan and then ingest the data, normalize, and deduplicate the results and all of that. Ingestion is where you configure the step to read scan results from a data file and then ingest, normalize, and do all of that. So let's stick with orchestration in our process. And next is the scan configuration, which is set to default. And then you go for the target. The type is set to repository. And here, if you go ahead with target and variant detection, you can choose auto in the best case, where it sets the name and target automatically. Or if you choose to go it manually, you can set manual, and name is where the label that you want to assign to the target you are scanning. And for the variant, this is an identifier for a specific target to scan, such as branch name in our case. Let's stick with auto. And next, as we go ahead, we have the workspace. This is where you enter the workspace path on the pod running the security step. And the default path is set to /harness. Let's keep it as default and go for the next is where the authentication. This is where you give the access token, and if the token is not provided, STO will use the open source Semgrep with all the default security rule sets. And to scan Semgrep against all the rule sets, you need to have a valid Semgrep license code and provide it here. Next, this is where you set the log level. You can set to debug, info warning, or error. And coming on to the additional CLI flags, this is where you configure the CLI flags that you want to pass to the Semgrep scanner. And here is the interesting thing and the important thing where you can configure the fail on severity. If you set high to it, if there is any issue in the scan results with severity high or above, the step will get failed. So we can keep it high for now, and let's go ahead and apply changes. Now let's quickly save it and run it. The branch name set to main and run pipeline. After fast forwarding, so here we are with a successful execution, and as you get into the detail, you can see that fail on severity is set to high, but this threshold was not reached. So our main branch is safe without any sort of critical or high issues. If there was any critical or high issues, this step would have failed. Let's get into the test results. You can go to the security test tab, and this is where you can have a complete overview of all the issues that are part of our main branch of the repository. And as you go in detail, you have a complete list of all the issues. And as you click in, you should be able to find further details about the issue, which includes the target type, remediation step, and you have Harness IDA that helps you to find remediation steps. As you go down, you should also find a description and the identifiers and CWEs and all of that. Now, let's do something even more interesting. I wanted to trigger this pipeline and perform the SAST scanning, not manually, but on raising a PR. So I wanted to scan my source branch of my PR and block the pipeline if there is any critical or high issues. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and add a new trigger. So go to the edit pipeline, and from here I have a trigger already configured, as you can see this. And as you open this up, this is going to get triggered on raising a PR. So this is how you can quickly configure. You can set the repository name and the event to pull request as you continue. You can keep it to default and then set the code base to git branch and set it to trigger.source branch, and then you can quickly save it. So let's go ahead and quickly raise a PR. So here I am trying to raise a PR, and here I'm going to merge it to main, and my feature branch is feature-logging. So click on create pull request, and once it's done, let's scroll down a bit, and here you can see the pipeline got triggered. And to get into the details, you can quickly click on this details, which will take you to the execution page. So here we are in the pipeline execution, and after fast forwarding, so here we are with a failure execution this time. And as you get into the detail, you should be able to find exited with a message, fail on severity set to high, and that threshold was reached. So our feature branch does have some vulnerabilities with criticality high or above, which resulted in failure of the pipeline, and it should also block the PR. As you get into the PR, you should be able to find the checks got failed and the PR got blocked. And let's get into the test results and see the issues. As you go to the security test tab, here you have a newly added high vulnerability compared to the last scan. And from here, you have a clear comparison from this feature branch and the main branch. And this is the newly added high severity vulnerability in the feature branch. As you click into it, you should be able to know further details. And here we are. It says the description as unencrypted request over HTTP detected. And that's specific to the line number 290. In the file products.jsx. As I bring it up here, you should be able to find the line number 290. There is a fetch method for making an API call, and what IDA suggests is to go ahead and use an Axios library to perform the API request. And if you fix the issue, run the scan again, you should be able to find that issue got remediated. So this is how you can use Harness STO for performing the SAST for your code repository. Thank you.